Now I'm going to do a little bit of painting and 120cc engine building in between videos. Now your most important thing about taking the spot putty off is this right here. You see where it says 50 degrees? That means in, I don't know how many, I don't know what it is in Celsius. We don't do that shit here. Anyway, I mean, it's probably better, but I don't know anything about it. It's kind of like international soccer, football. I don't never see one of those. I'd like to see one. But I know for a fact that this spot putty looks dry. This 3M spot putty right here. But it's not dry. I know that this primer looks dry. It's not dry because there's not enough heat for that lacquer to come out of it. Now what I'm going to do is take my 1000 grit paper here, right here, 1000 grit wet. You can see in this soft pad right here, it's specially made to go on this pad, universal, like that, in threes. Now when this side gets done, we take this and go like this. And we'll use that side. You always want to go in one direction. I'm going to get this smooth as I can right now. I may have to do this 1, 2, 3, 4, or a million times. It doesn't matter. As long as this panel is completely smooth like a mirror, so that the paint will reflect the smoothness. Now I know that this lesson may be boring to you, or you may already know this. That's fine. But in 100 years, a kid's going to look at this video maybe and say, my God, there's something there I didn't see, that at least there was a teacher there somewhere. It's all for free, so I do take my time. I'm 50 years old, and frankly, I don't give a shit. So I'm slow. I sound like Jeff Bridges. I don't look like him, but I'm willing to do a movie with him if he wants to do the big Lebowski Reloaded or something. So I'm going to take this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this down, and usually in a shop, the shop is always warm throughout the year. It has to be to have these lacquers or enamel reducers to dry out. Now when they have their paint booths, which are very expensive, you have to remember a paint booth is not a big fan that blows all the air outside. The paint booth takes the warm air, runs it through the paint booth, through filters, and then runs that warm air back into the shop. It's very expensive. It's very hard to do, but they have to have heat, a certain amount of heat in the shop at all times, because the paint's dry through evaporation. You can't have cold wet air and have it done like that. So what I'm going to do, this is my plan, and since I'm doing this at 50 degrees instead of 80 degrees, I'm going to get this as smooth as I can, and I know that it's not going to, I know it's not going to dry. So I'm going to get it as smooth as I can, and then I'm going to spray this Bulldog adhesive promoter on the top, which I've already put some on you can see the little speckles right here. What the adhesive promoter does, it melts the top of the plastic just a little bit, so that your primer will stick to it. And then your paint sticks to your primer, and on and on and on consecutively. So we're going to get this wet. Get some water over here. Number 9. Do it nice and easy. Okay, you don't need to go hard. Remember that while you're sanding like this, you're taking off this primer, but you're also taking off material off of this. That is why you want to have no edges here and here. Okay, you don't want to have big edges because you're going to create divots all the way around here. So we just go nice and easy. And you do it a little bit until your pad loads up. With loads up means it has spot putty stuff on it. Wipe that off a little bit. Go again. And remember, if you take off too much, it's no big deal, because you'll do it again. You'll do it 1,000,000 times, 1,000 times, 100,000 times, until you get this panel as smooth as glass. Until you feel it's as smooth as glass. Now what I will do is, I know that this is not going to dry this winter. What I will do is I'll get this as smooth as I want to get it smooth. Then I will put on 3 or 4 heavy coats of primer filler right there. I'll put on 3 or 4 heavy coats on everything. And I'll just let this sit. I'll let it sit for 2 or 3 weeks, maybe in the house where it's warm, and I'll let it dry out. Now there's a couple of ways that you can dry this out, and they both, what we need to do is we need to cure the lacquer thinner, which is right here. You can see it. The lacquer thinner makes this liquid right there. We need to cure that lacquer thinner. You can smell it. We need to cure that out of the paint, or out of the work. You can take a heat gun and zzz. Now that can work if you know exactly what you're doing. If you don't, what you'll do is you'll heat the top layer of the primer or spot putty, and you create a skin or a film. And instead of letting the reducer or thinner evaporate out, what it will do is it will seal it in. Now eventually this lacquer thinner will want to get out, and 6 months down the road, after you think you got a perfect paint job, you'll start seeing bubbles. The bubbles are the lacquer thinner trying to get out, but it can't, because the skin on top is too thick of the primer or spot putty. The other way that you can do this is they have an infrared heat lamps, which what they do is the lamps will go through the primer or through the spot putty. They heat up the metal underneath, and so the metal is warm and everything starts to evaporate from the inside out instead of the outside in. Now these are some of the problems you may run against. Alright, now I've had 30 years of experience, so I know what I'm doing. I'm not a contract car painter. I don't have to be. I know exactly what I'm doing, and I can teach it on the web. So I'm just showing you what I'm learning, and maybe my son or daughter, maybe my grandkids will watch this and say, hey, God, you know, he was a great guy. So we'll go to the next video. And I hope this helps people out there, especially all you guys out there that don't have fathers or don't have older brothers to show you how to do it. I hope it helps.